Can I get a little grace? Can I get a little empathy? Can we come back to the light and leave darkness behind? I just need a little hope.
Hello, this is the Journey Told podcast, and I'm your host, Shawn Zanotti. I believe life is about the journey, not the destination. To find the journey in every step of the road, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, the twists and turns, all of that. It's in that makes this moment in life, beautiful. Our guest today has a journey of her own. Sheléa Frazier is a vocalist who many compare her voice to the legendary Whitney Houston and the piano talent of Alicia Keys. She's an artist, she's an actress who's garnered co-signs from the likes of Stevie Wonder, Mary J. Blige, Missy Elliot, David Foster, Queen Latifah, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Hudson, Quincy Jones, and many, many more. Welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. Shawn and Sheléa.
Yes, it's a ring there, right? S&S.
It is. I love it. And it's funny because I just got married 3 months ago, so it's actually Sheléa McDonald now.
Oh, excuse me.
Socially. I haven't officially changed it yet, but I haven't heard Frazier in a long time, so that was kind of cute.
So should we be going by?
No. That's fine. Sheléa Frazier or Sheléa is fine, but I just also add McDonald in the mix
so
too.
Tell me, how is married life? Oh my God, that's so exciting.
We got married on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And it was after it. We've known each other for a long time. We went to college together, but really, I can't say that I knew him well enough. Like we've been, friends for all these years, but we just kind of reconnected about 6 months ago.
During COVID.
I
love that story. So can you share that? Do you mind sharing what that story is like?
I don't.
What happened?
So he popped up in the DMs. Okay. No, this is the thing. Like he would always we would see each other, socially or like at church. We're part of the same denomination. And so I would see him, ever so often. We went to a HBCU, Oakwood University. So a little shout out to Oakwood. But I was dating someone at the time, and then he was dating someone. So the timing was just obviously off. And then again, I would see him periodically throughout the years, and I thought very highly of him. He was always just a really great guy and really, really handsome. And, but it was just, I knew who he was. So it wasn't even somebody I was thinking that could be an option, and so 6 months ago he crept in the DMs on Instagram and was like, I feel like in another life we would have been really great friends, and I would, I'm in New York right now, but when I come back to California, I would love to take you to lunch sometime. And so, where I was at that time, that was literally the perfect thing he could have said, because I really wouldn't have wanted anything more aggressive than that. It was just this idea of like, yeah, we probably would have been friends and, had a lot in common. And so he dropped the friend act almost immediately.
Okay. Yes.
So he took me to Malibu. He knows I love the ocean, I love the water, and took me to this place right on the ocean. And then right after we went and walked along Zuma Beach, which is like, any beach is like my happy place. And it was literally like, it was just this instant connection. Instantly, I knew I could trust him. Instantly, I just felt like, wow, he's different. He's different. And it moved really fast. 3 months later, we were married.
Oh my goodness, 3 months later.
3 months later. So our first date was, I think, like the 28th or the 29th of September, and the 31st of December we were married.
Wow.
But went back to Malibu where our first date was, and it was just the two of us, and it was beautiful. It was kind of hard. I'm very, very family oriented, and but I really wanted it to just start off so intimate and so sacred. And at the end of the day, there was no need to like perform or try to impress anybody, with weddings and all. There was no fanfare. It was really just about it was very beautiful, though, I will say, but it was just the two of us. It was me, him, and our pastor, and a photographer, videographer to capture the day.
Oh my goodness, I love that. That's all it needs to be.
Honestly,
that's it.
It was, this was a second marriage for both of us, and so, not that means anything, but I we both kind of had huge weddings the first time around. And just a side note, I just want to say, like, I'm still great friends with my first husband. He was an incredible guy, just didn't work out. But I will say, just kind of comparing it, just I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, probably part of being an entertainer, like, there's always a red carpet. I'm always dressing up, and so maybe I get my fix that way. For a lot of women, it's like that day. It's like it's our day, and you want all eyes on you. Now in retrospect, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way than this. Even with the family thing, not being there, because at the end of the day, it's really he and I in this marriage, and he and I and God, and so that's really what it was, and it represented that, and it just was so much more meaningful that way.
It's so beautiful to hear a love story that has come out of COVID. I mean, literally, and the way that happened so fast. That's so amazing. And you're glowing as you're talking about it. So I know that it's going great, and that's just beautiful.
It is. And I always say, like, if I like you in COVID, I really like you, because there's nothing really, it was really nothing for us to do. We live such a simple life. Things are now slowly starting to open up, and we're, able to do more. But yeah, I mean, just to be able to live simply, and you're seeing a lot right now in relationships. They're either, a lot of breakups, because I think people are realizing that, we didn't really like each other that much. We might love each other, but we don't really like each other. And so now having to spend all this time under one roof, it's difficult, And so when I saw that, I really liked him and just liked being around him. I said, okay, this is a little different.
Oh yeah, that was a lot different.
Exactly.
So how has COVID, or the conditions of COVID, how has that affected your professional career, or did it affect it in a good way, a bad way, or did you just kind of flow through so far in this process?
I think it's affected all of us. I mean, definitely the entertainment industry was hit super hard. My mom's a teacher, and so it affected her not at all. In fact, she loves her life now better because she can teach her home. But I think for 95% of the world, it was a huge blow. And by God's grace, I had been, saving financially. And so I was able to just kind of breathe through it, and get through it, pretty easily on that front. But I remember telling myself, you either have to evolve, adapt, or die. And I completely embraced that. And so I took that time as an opportunity to evolve and to see other gifts that I had and other strengths, because it was such a weird time where it all went down. We were really about to start promoting the film, The Clark Sisters, the First Ladies of Gospel, where I played Dorinda Clark-Cole. And so, everything was canceled. There was no, no screenings were all canceled in our premiere. We were so disappointed. But we still had to promote the film. And so we were still doing press and still doing, PR and TV shows and, just to promote it. And so for the first time, it's like I had to be lighting, I had to be sound, I had to, be hair, makeup, all that stuff. Thankfully, I've always loved doing hair, so I've always done my own hair. But the makeup, I had to just kind of, learn and start kind of going through what I was watching when I was getting my makeup done. And all of a sudden, I was wearing all these hats, and it really showed me my strength and what I was made of.
Yes.
So I was happy to really be able to walk in that, even as difficult and trying as it was at that time. There was a lot of trial and error during that period, but it also just kind of made me grow, and for that I'm grateful for that season.
I love that. So do you think that it gave you a different respect for different industries and what people are actually doing, because now you were juggling all of those different roles because of COVID?
Absolutely. I think there was an appreciation. I was always, raised to never be a respecter of persons. That's kind of like my little thing that really bugs me is when people treat someone different. And so I always went into wherever I was going, from the lighting to the sound, knowing how important each of those were, that they were all equal, just as much as the talent. And so, but it definitely gave me just a deeper appreciation of what is done and when it's really right. Because, I had my little rinky-dink, my little tripod. I was ordering my tripod in my director's chair, just trying to, get something, to just look presentable. But it was amazing. It made me more appreciative, for sure.
How did you stay focused and positive? And how do you stay focused and positive right now during this time?
Yeah. Because it's, things are still obviously locked down. I did my first tour run, though, in Florida. It is Florida. I'm sorry, I love you, Florida, but the masks were like optional. It was like, wow.
Isn't that unreal how different it is in California?
Yes,
and then I look on Instagram or on social media and I see other cities and I'm like, wow, it's like night and day the way
and day.
The isolation and it's interesting.
Yeah. But it was amazing to be there. It was such a crazy full circle that my last tour run was in Florida, and so I was their last artist that they had, and I was literally their first artist that they had opened up their doors again to. So that was kind of a beautiful full circle moment. So things are obviously starting to turn around, thank God, but we're still, not where we're used to being. And so I have a single. I know we're going to talk about it later, but it asks this question: can I get a little grace? And I feel like right now we all need a lot of grace, and I think that for me that has been what has helped me just kind of stay sane, because there are days where I just stay in bed all day. And I give myself grace for those kind of days. And then there are other days where I wake up, I'm like, hey, I'm choosing to just hit the ground running. And I've got all these, all this energy. And I'm thankful for those days, but those days are not every day. And so it's about that balance and realizing that you need grace for when you don't always hit the mark. And so that is what has kind of kept me going and given me that focus, knowing that, okay, if I don't get it this time, I know tomorrow is a new day and a new opportunity for me to kill it.
I love that, and I'm glad we're talking about grace. I would love to. I want to hear it. Let's kind of dive into your music and let our viewers and listeners just chime into your world a bit.
I would love that. So Grace is a song that I wrote actually during the pandemic. It was kind of inspired by, just what was going on, kind of what I mentioned about just sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. I always say, show me someone who doesn't forgive others and is very critical of others. And usually that is someone who has not forgiven themselves and is probably very, very critical of themselves. And so I feel like there's this circular grace that happens when we give ourselves grace, then we're able to give it to others. And I feel like right now, especially just the climate that we're in on all fronts, just where people just don't always give each other the benefit of the doubt, like just to take a moment and give each other grace.
Yes, have some grace, have some compassion.
Grace. Yeah. So this is Grace.
All right, let's listen.
There's something on my mind, but I'm scared to share it, 'cause you can't hit rewind. If I don't get it right every time, would you hold it against me or leave me behind? I'm just trying to make it through the day, and I'm searching for the words to say. Can I get a little grace? Can I get a little empathy? Can we come back to the light and leave darkness behind? I just need a little hope. I'm not asking for your sympathy. You can't wait for things to change and still be the same. I just need a little grace. I just need a little grace. Can I get a little grace? Some grace. won't shut you down. There's more to us than we'll ever know. But it takes forgiveness, and that's harder to show. I'm just trying to make it through the day, and I'm searching for the words to say. Can I get a little grace? Can I get a little empathy? Can we come back to the light and leave darkness behind? I just need a little hope. I'm not asking for your sympathy. You can't wait for things to change and still be the same. I just need a little grace. I just need a little grace. Can I get a little grace? Oh, some grace. We've got to find a better way and start living out the words we say. If there's one thing that's true, in the end it's me and you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Can I get a little grace? Can I get a little empathy? Can we come back to the light and leave darkness behind? I just need a little hope. I'm asking for your sympathy. We can't wait for things to change and still be the same. I just need a little grace. I just need a little grace. Do you need a little grace? I just need a little grace. Hey, I just need a little grace. Oh, grace. I'm just trying to make it through the day, and I'm searching for the words to say.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Like, I want to hear more.
Oh, thank you so much. That means
Look
a
at the
lot.
crew saying we want to hear more.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Can you sing a little bit for us? What is something
Oh,
that
my goodness.
Yeah, I would love to hear something. Your voice is just
So just another
amazing.
song, or just this? Well, we
Give
already
us-
heard. We
is
already
there
heard
something
Grace.
you're working on that you would like to share with the audience?
Oh my goodness.
Let's do that.
Well, I'm pivoting. I think it's interesting because I played a gospel legend, who was part of a gospel group. But I'm not a gospel artist, and so sometimes it can be a little confusing because my faith is like a part of who I am, but it's not necessarily like the genre of music that I'm always singing. And so I sing gospel music too, but I sing jazz music, I sing R&B, and so I'm kind of like pivoting into.
This show is about the pivot. So literally, that's what we're talking about, the pivot. Let's hear, what are we pivoting into? Let's go into that role.
Let me see. I'm trying to figure out what song I want to do that could kind of reflect that. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I know the well. Let's keep talking.
Let's keep talking.
Now
And
we'll come back. It'll
you
come to me. Yeah,
as it's supposed to.
Okay.
So speaking of your acting career, talk about what was that like for you with the Clark sisters on Lifetime? I know that was a huge. You got a lot of support from that.
Yeah.
Garnished more than 2.7 million viewers.
Yeah.
Which was the strongest original movie for all television actors and key demos in broadcast and cable, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a pinch me moment for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember, as I said before, there was some disappointment, obviously, because for me and some of the other actresses, it was our first movie. So we hadn't gone to like a premiere or, for us acting. I wrote the theme song for Jumping the Broom. And so I remember going to the premiere, and that was really fun. But this was the first time I was acting. And so being able to go to, a premiere to where I was, a prominent actor in this film. And it's crazy how a lot of times our our mind and our ideas and our plans, how sometimes God is like, okay, but I have a better plan.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we were all at home is why the movie did so well. And I'm not saying that the movie wouldn't have done well without a pandemic, but it wouldn't have had those numbers. I mean, that was like the first weekend. I mean, it's now up to like 15 to 20 million streamed. I mean, it's up there. And so that success was happening. I remember when it was out and Snoop was watching and Taraji, and you had all of these like really, really incredible people tweeting about this movie and about just how they were so touched by it. And I just remember thinking, okay, this one is special. I knew it was special, but it was the affirmation, like, okay, this is really everything that we were feeling in that cold. Oh my God, it was so cold in Toronto. It was like the worst winter that they had in 20 years. It was all worth it, and it was all beautiful. And it was, and on top of it, it was like all this amazing Black girl magic. It was a Black director, a Black screenwriter, all Black producers, and this story about 6 Black women. You just don't see that all the time.
No, and for you to be able to do that and do it so well is just amazing.
Thank you. I have to give a shout out to my my acting coach, Josie Harris, and I also want to shout out the director, Christine Swanson, because she's why I even knew about this role. She and I were working on another project entirely, and I remember she came and told me, I just got signed on to be the director for this, and I think you should put your name in the hat for Dorinda. I can't promise anything, and but do the work. And so
you did that work.
I did the work.
Yes.
I did the work, and Josie really, really, really prepared me for everything that she said would happen happened. And so it's kind of interesting that of all the things in my life, I felt most prepared for this role, which is kind of weird because singing is, my thing. But I feel like the preparation and the time that I put into really, really studying for this role, I felt the most prepared ever.
And you've had a different probably level of confidence because you knew you were prepared for what you were doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially being so green and this being my first role.
Yes.
I had a other little small role in this movie called All the Way, and I was singing and I had to show some sadness, but this was the first time I was part of the main character. Yeah.
I want to wrap up the segment with a portion of the show that we're calling Tell and Tell, which is a play on the word show and tell. What is something that you can tell us that has impacted you that someone may not know about you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Tell and tell. Well, I guess we can just, in a way, what we kind of already were talking about, just this pandemic, showing that I remember thinking to myself at the end of 2020, there were a few things I walked away from the year saying, I said, I can do more with less. And that is something that, sometimes you think you need all this stuff and, I can do more with less. I can still be impactful and lead with my heart. That's what I've always done. And I feel like that has served me well.
It has served you well. Well, that's pretty much it for this show. That went by so fast.
So fast.
Do you want to grace us with anything or leave some special words to the people out there, someone who may be watching or listening and want some inspiration during this time? What would you say to them?
I would say, hold on, stay strong. I kept in with the music playing.
Yes, hold on and stay strong.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for this episode of the Journey Told Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to leave you with some special words that my father has always said to me, and that is to be the best version of you that you can be. Until next time, folks, let that sizzle in your spirit.